everyone, and welcome to Tech Talk. I am Jennifer Cooper with fOCUS360, and today our guest is Chris Hartley, Vice President of Sales for K Hovnanian. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Jennifer. It's always great to see your face.
Awesome to see you. Thank you for joining us today.
Of course.
Well, a little background about Chris Hartley in case anybody's listening or watching Tech Talk this week. You have like a million titles. I think Vice President of Sales and Marketing, obviously, real estate expert, I would throw in there, Ironman, author, speaker, and of course, daddy. You know, you're a dad, so you're two beautiful girls.
Yeah.
You balance so much, and you're such a great voice in our industry. And thank you again for being here
Yeah, well,
today.
I appreciate all the kind things you say. Yeah, the latest title is Cheer Dad, as cheerleading officially started last week, which is a whole nother level in Texas when you have a daughter cheering for Texas football. I mean, I spent half the time just laughing at how serious everybody takes third grade football here, and
yeah,
whole nother level, whole nother
start
level.
them
Not
young.
being from Texas, it's fascinating to see.
Yeah, you've opened the can of worms for the entire cheer career. So here you go.
Yes, I have, and I'm loving it. I'm truly
All right,
loving
cheer
it.
dad, add that to your signature because we're going to see all different side of you. But in all seriousness, I invited you today to talk about the market. It's, definitely crazy, and I want to talk shop. So we're just going to kind of talk about where the market's going. And for those in new home construction and real estate veterans, we've seen a little bit of every type of marketplace we've lived through, or some of us have lived through the Great Recession, foreclosure markets. We've had booming markets, COVID market, the post-COVID market, just been up, down, inside out, all of these crazy ways. Now we've got fluctuating rates and really much a softer summer market. I don't know about Texas. I feel like we're seeing kind of holistically from my friends in the industry, a lot of this softer market over the summer, which we see, but a little bit more than we are comfortable for business plans. So we're just going to jump in and talk about what you're seeing and what you're doing, because I think you will bring a lot of advice to our audience. So how are you addressing the current market with your team, and what is working for you? Is anything
Yeah, I
working?
mean, yeah, is anything working? I've been doing this for 20 years now, and I will tell you, just when you think you've seen every possible market, a new market pops up and you realize that you haven't seen everything. And just when you think you have prepared yourself for any possible situation or scenario, something else pops up, which, I'm always one of those big believers that you control so little of what actually happens to you in your life. You control so little of what actually happens to you in your career. But the one thing we absolutely can control is how we take things that come at us, our attitude, our enthusiasm, our calmness, our stress, because all of those things have a reaction to our teams. So if we, as a sales leadership, management leadership division president, whatever it may be, CEO, if we are seen panicking in any sort of a stressful situation, I promise you, it is doing nothing but making all of those beneath you, title wise, panic as well. And so what I would say is breathe. Rule number one, just breathe and recognize that what we are doing here is just a season and a moment in time, and that we're going to get through it. Just like we got through COVID when it happened in March, April of 2020, where we thought our entire world was shutting down, just like we saw in the recession of 2006, 7, and 8. We all got through it and we're better for it. So we need to stop looking at everything as a problem and a stressful situation and something that is going to take us all down or ruin our careers or ruin our forecasts or screw with our bonuses or whatever. And we need to look at it as an opportunity in the moment and in the time to just be better. And if you can make that who you are as an individual, who you are as a leader, who you are as an organization, people are going to want to work with you and for you and alongside you. Because I promise you, not a single person on this call that's watching this wants to work with somebody that the world is ending, that everything is falling apart, that we don't want to be a part of, because that's just an awful environment to be in. You don't want to be in that in your personal life. You don't want to be in that in your work life because, there are those people that say you have to leave your life stress at home, your personal stress at home. You can't bring it to work. And you have to leave your work stress at work and not bring it home. But the reality is that's not ever going to happen. What happens to us at home follows us at work, and what happens at work follows us at home. And we can control how we see things. And I promise you that is going to make your life so much easier.
Yeah. It's definitely a great perspective. I actually was in a stress workshop a few months ago, and that was something they were preaching about, is knowing what can you control about any situation, as dire, as good, as bad. You only can control how you respond to whatever that thing is. But kind of going back to the same question, and kind of heard the personally how you deal with it, but how are you addressing the current market with your leads? Are there any conversations that are helping move the needle? Personally, it sounds kind of silly to just say, oh, it's a great time to buy, but it is a great time to buy, considering where rates aren't going to go back to 2 3/4, or they're just not. It's a blip in history, right? Is there anything that you're doing on the marketing and sales side with leads to convince that buyer this really is still a good time to buy?
Yeah, I mean, such an awesome question. And here's what I'm telling our team right now is that first of all, you have to believe that it's a great time to buy, right? Because if you as a leader do not truly believe that now's a great time to buy, you can't fool your team into believing that it's a great time. And they're not going to fool a prospect into the fact that it's a great time to buy. I 1,000,000% believe that today is a great time to buy. And I think that there's going to be people in 2025 that are going to look in March, April, May, halfway through the year and be like, damn, I really wish I would have bought a home in the summer/fourth quarter of 2024. Because here's the truth. We're seeing a slowdown in the market. We can't deny the fact that there is a slowdown that is happening, right? And it makes sense. We're on an election year, even though I've seen articles that say election years don't change things. I think we can always say that this is a unique election year. Inflation, unemployment, the shift in the jobs market, whatever it may be, I feel that it is different today. But I also feel that it is one hell of a time to buy because, you can look at it, and Jeff Shore always says this, there's no better time to improve your life than today. If somebody's life is not good in the situation that they're in, how do we improve upon it? How do we make it better? And if a new home does that, it doesn't really matter what season we are in. If we have what they need to make their life better, now is the time to execute. Now, going back to really that question, why I believe it's a great time to buy, is that we have done so many things as an industry to get our prices in line with what it's going to be attracted to buyers, whether it be permanent interest rate buy downs to 2.99, or you're seeing 5.99 with a 2.1 buy down. I mean, you're seeing all sorts of rates. Then you're seeing price discounts. And then a lot of the builders have 3 years of free refinance or close to a free refi, right? There's always something that we are doing. And as a builder, we are giving up so much margin today that we gained during the COVID times, the crazy margins that we were gaining. We've given so much of it back to make it a more realistic buying environment for our buyers. But as I tell my team, I promise you, because we are a for-profit business, we will find a way to make that money up in the future. And that time is going to come in 2025 in February, March, April, May, when that market picked back up and the interest rates do naturally drop and people can refi. We're going to start pulling back on those incentives. We're going to start pulling back on those interest rates. And people are going to look back and say, damn, 2024 was a hell of a time to buy. Because the way I look at it, and I had this conversation with my dad the other day, I feel like our prices today are really where they were at the beginning of COVID. When you take all things into consideration with the discounts and the interest rates and everything else, we have really backpedaled ourselves all the way back to there. So for those people that lost out on buying in a hot market, now is your time to pull the trigger because it's going to get hot again and you're going to miss out.
Yeah. And that's having those candid conversations. Again, it's like it's education for the buyer, right? That they're not thinking of that. They're like living in the moment. They're not living in all of the different, what could happen and what's going to happen because we've been through it, right?
Yeah. Well, it goes back to educating your team. Your team, and I sincerely believe this, and I speak nationally a lot. I believe 70% of on-site salespeople are god awful at their job. They need to go sell and do something else, right? And that's because for so long they have not studied what it takes to be true professionals in their job. right? If you have been in the industry for any length of time, let's say, I've been doing it for 20 years, you learned mortgage as such an important part of your role. You knew how to qualify people. You knew how to, you knew every loan program that there was out there. You knew how to take a buyer in their current situation and make your situation, your community, what you're offering work for a consumer. Today, the average on-site salesperson is clueless on how to qualify and get somebody into a program based on mortgage knowledge. So my tip to anybody and my tip to my own personal team is you need to become mortgage experts, because I promise you, your neighbor and your competitor down the street is not. And the more knowledgeable you are, the wealthier you're going to be. And that goes back to, the recession. I made more money in 2006, 7, and 8 than I ever have, because I knew the salesperson down the street from me with a national home builder had a woe is me mentality. And I knew, because my models were after his, they were going to go visit him. His name was Matt, and Matt thought the world was ending. And then they're going to come to me. And I was, the happiest human in the world, because I knew they just visited Matt, and they came in. If they were looking for a home, they were buying from me. And I was crushing this man, 6, 7 sales a month over his 1 to 2. And he's like, how are you doing? And I'm like, have you hung out with you lately? Have you looked in the mirror? Like, you are just, it's awful how much beaten down you are. And I feel like so many salespeople today are that. So just have a positive attitude, smile, stand up, ask the discovery questions. I mean, me personally, I'm out there looking for an upgrade to my house here for myself and my girls here soon. And it's fascinating. I'll go in with a baseball cap, a t-shirt, and gym shorts, and I'll walk in and barely anybody stands up. And true story, Jennifer, true story for this. I was looking at a house the other day, and the lady finally asked me, she goes, you sure are asking a lot of really great questions. You seem like you've done this before. And I'm like, well, I'm in the industry. And she looked at me and she goes, oh shit. Are you Chris Hartley? And I said, I am. She goes, I follow you on LinkedIn. And she goes, oh my God, I didn't ask you your name. I didn't ask for a registration card. And she's like, I promise you I'm better at this than what I am. And I laughed and I said, it's okay. You don't work for me. But the thing is this was a nice, expensive house. And this was a commission that was pretty significant for her if she would have done her job. Now, granted, she's doing a great job now. I'm going to give her credit once she recognized and realized who I was. But it's like, why did it take that to do her job?
Yeah.
Just do your job and you're going to sell houses and make money, because people are still buying homes. Just do the job.
Yeah. It's going back to the basics. Something I did with my sales teams years ago was just even getting together with our preferred lender at the time and role playing. Get your teams in a room and role play together. It doesn't have to be they're on a stage or anything kind of scary, but just practice, adding to that, getting back to the basics of what makes you stand out. The one that dresses up, shows up, gets up, greets, versus gets lazy, right? It's just kind of get back to the basics of what makes you memorable and stand out versus somebody down the street. I think that's just definitely some of the one-on-one 101 there. I do want to make sure so we talked a little bit about, kind of team and mindset and how you become better and reflect in this crazy market. But I do want to, this is Tech Talk, so I got to talk a little bit about technology. When it comes to technology, personally, I like to think about technology as a team member on my team. We pay money for it. I have to budget for it. It has to perform. I got to get data out of it, and my team has to work with it, right? I consider technology an employee in my mindset when I'm bringing it on board. And I know you have a kind of a similar philosophy. We've been on a few boards together. Which kind of technology employee for you is the most prized for leads and sales? What continues to prove its ROI for you through these changing thick and thin markets?
I do love this question, because I know you love to study sales offices and you're always thinking of the next best way to really bring technology to the forefront and make everybody's lives easier. And I'll tell you this, I had a conversation with a friend the other day, and we were talking about how much the sales office have changed. You don't see plat tables anymore, and you see TVs on the wall, and they used to be so expensive, and just now they're not. And, we were working on a land book earlier today, and our print costs are next to nothing, when print costs used to be 150,000 on a life of a community, and now they're 42 grand, right? And it's funny because you just don't, as the technology improves, as our phones improve, we need to make sure that we are investing. And I absolutely love that you said you need to look at technology as if it's an employee, because when you look at it as an employee, it makes it less painful as an overhead cost, right? It kind of goes back to somebody won't spend 500 grand for a website, which showcases all of your communities, but they'll go spend 500 grand on a model home that performs a little less than what a website would do, right? So if you look at your technology as an actual employee in which you're gauging out of it, such an awesome way to look at that, Jennifer, by the way. And you actually hold it accountable for what it's supposed to do and how it's being utilized. Awesome. I would tell you one of the things that we're working on here at K-Hub Canadian, and it's not working on, we've been doing it, is we have our looks. It's an interior design palettes, right? They're professionally curated designs out in New York City. They're absolutely gorgeous. But what's amazing about it is we have a design and price tool online that a consumer can go onto the website. They can find their home site. They can find the lot premium. They can go and literally price a home from start to finish and walk into our model, hand it to a salesperson, and just confirm that it's accurate and buy a home. Now, people think, well, that just sounds way too easy, but we're doing it in cars all the time. It is mind blowing how many people are truly walking into our offices with the printout and be like, is this available, or can I do this, or what is this, right?
They did
And
their
I would say
homework.
they did their homework, but consumers are doing their homework, right? They're spending 10 hours behind the scenes for every 1 hour they're spending in your sales office. 10 hours behind the scenes. And it's fascinating. As somebody who's looking for a home myself, I'm constantly looking on the website. I'm like, gosh, I wish they would have had this, or why didn't they have this? And it is fascinating how many builders, some of them do a really great job, some of them do a horrible job. And you're like, wouldn't it just be nice to have all the tools at access so I can sit on my couch when I'm with my girls and price out the stinking home that I want? Because let's be real, nobody wants to talk to a salesperson. Nobody wants to be sold. But when I'm ready to buy, I want you to respond to me. And I want you to be able to work with me and answer my questions. And so the technology is your number one teammate that's on your team. And I would say for us, and when you asked about the tools, I would say the design and price tool is the best one for us, because people can literally price out a home. They know their exact price when they go to contract for us. There's no change orders after the fact. And then we move on and we can build the home significantly faster.
Do you feel that, I'm just curious, because I'm looking at something similar with the builder right now. Do you feel like a certain percentage of your buyers are embracing that tool? Is it high? Is it low? I mean, I know it's kind of a unexpected question, but
yeah, I would say it's extremely high. Now we're getting ready to do a pretty large active adult piece. Now, granted, it's going to take a little bit of time for this to develop due to its size, community center, so on and so forth. There's always the question, does an older buyer have the ability to still utilize technology? I'll tell you, my parents are in their late 60s, early 70s, and they're on their dang iPads playing around with these prices all the time. And my parents are sending me floor plans of active adult neighborhoods they're looking at, and they get it. Their demand for it is just as high because they've had to adapt. So the whole thought process of older generations not utilizing the tech, not factual at all. My mom still has issues with Instagram and Facebook posts, but she can sure as hell know how to use a design and price tool and know how to find a house online. I mean, that's almost her joy and her entertainment is building out houses. And oh, look at this floor plan here and look at this here. I mean, I love it.
And do focus groups. If you're going to create a technology and integrate it into your sales process, study it with your buyer. So like there's 100%. always a workaround on that.
Yeah.
So my last question, because I know we're short for time, but I do want to ask it. So right now at fOCUS360, we're talking about its planning season. So we're going into September. Most of us are working on our first draft, first blush of what our budget's going to look for 2025. We're trying to find that crystal ball on what the market's going to look like after we get out of this kind of softer market. What's some of your advice? I know we all have a little bit of our own advice. What is your advice for others out there working on their budget or first blush, kind of going in and out of these changing markets? Is there any philosophy or piece of advice you'd leave with us today around?
Yeah, I would, again, another great question, because you and I are so used to working on budgets as being such a focus, right? And we were getting away with spending basically next to nothing during the COVID years. I mean, 0.3% of revenue to, now for us, I can't give away the percentage, but, if you're anywhere from, I would say 0.7 to, I would say 1.5 is probably on the high side, but let's just say 1% of your revenue, I'd say you're back to where you need to be. And I would say you need to put in place, and I'm going to give some mad props to Kevin Oakley for this, because this is what made me who I was. You need to have a discovery budget. You need to have a budget that's in place that you put aside. And he used to say 10%, 7 to 10% of your budget needs to be earmarked for discovering new products, new technologies that you can test that can give you the added advantage, whether it be fOCUS360, Atlas RTI. I mean, the things are endless that you can do, right? But you need to be practicing and trying new things to set yourself apart. And so I would just say, take your budget, dissect it, spend a lot of time on digital, figure out where you're going. And then here's the other thing. Damn salespeople need to recognize again today, because I looked back, I started in the industry in 2003, 2023, I wish, 2003, old Pulte Homes days. And I remember seeing I was responsible for 75% of the traffic I drove through my door. And so many salespeople today throw up their hands and say, where's my marketing? What are you doing for me? What are you spending on me? Turn that around and say, what are you doing for this company to drive your own traffic? What's your own personal brand look like? How's your Instagram looking like? How is your, I mean, it is, and I'm going to say, I'm going to give a little plug, and this gentleman does not work for me, but he is a friend of mine, Gene Carter with Highland Homes in Texas. I suggest everybody follow this young man on Instagram because he is fire and he just does a phenomenal job. And again, it doesn't work for me, but damn, I wish he did, because he is so good with branding himself and driving his own traffic. And that guy makes more money every single year, and he gets excited about a difficult market. So find the salespeople that get excited about a difficult market. Find the salespeople that want to market themselves. Find the salespeople that want to partner with marketing rather than bitch at marketing. And then get yourself underneath a leader who is not stressing out about every dang thing in the world, because this too shall pass, right? But let's get out of this stronger and better processes, and let's focus and control the things we can control. Because at the end of the day, we can't control 90% of the things that come at us. But people want to work for people that keep calm. And I've sent some dumb emails, and I've even sent to my team. I'm like, gosh, please tell me I don't send emails like this, because I've seen some lately. And they're like, yeah, you have here and there. And I'm like, if I ever do that again, call me and slap me. I'm better than that. You just take a step back, recognize that we are better than that, recognize that we've survived this long and we're going to survive again. So
absolutely. And I would say, just to chime in on that, if marketing didn't exist, if a marketing department was just locked away, how would you sell these homes? You've got to get in that mindset from the sales side. We're going to do everything we can, but you also got to get like hungry, and I always say, man, like, even if you had to put a sandwich board on it, you're going to do that. Like, what would you do? What would you do? And you are in charge of a multi-million dollar storefront. Open that door and own it. Multi-million dollar storefront. That's the mentality. So,
best way to
all
look
right,
at
I
it.
know we can sing the praises. We love what we do. We love our salespeople. It is a tough market, but you gave some great insights today. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Always love seeing you. Thanks for having me.
In the industry. And anybody not following Mr. Chris Hartley on LinkedIn, you're kind of everywhere. I know you're super busy, but and we'll see you at most of the shows the rest of the year. So thanks again. Thanks again to everybody for tuning in to today's Tech Talk, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.